Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor and pleasure to be here at TEDx tonight. My name is Juha Peralampi. I am the manager of the business incubator at Qatar University, where we have a center for entrepreneurship, and we serve our aspiring entrepreneurs and startup companies. Later on tonight, there's going to be one baby of ours called Arvex, and they will be presenting their case. Before we go any further, I would like to ask you a question. And please raise your hands. How many of you have actually lived abroad for more than 1 year? Please raise your hands. I see almost 50%, which I'm not surprised here in Qatar because it's such an international place. Tonight I will talk about the year that changed my life, my personal experiences, included some scientific data, and how it all has impacted me. First of all, I'm from a country called Finland, which is up in the northern part of Europe. It's a very nature-oriented and innovation-based country. I definitely enjoyed my childhood, growing up in the beautiful nature, enjoying warm summers and cooler winters. I had a ball, I had a good time being with my family, my friends, playing sports. Finland is a very safe and secure place to be brought up in. In 1943, psychologist Abraham Maslow made extensive survey on people's innate curiosity and motivation. And what he found out is that we human beings have a need to go up in the ladder in called Maslows Hierarchy. So once our basic needs are met, we tend to go towards self-actualization. And by self-actualization, this stage, we mean that we can become who we really are supposed to be, and we can reach whatever is there to be reached for us. Being a very lucky person, I had my basic needs met early on in my life. At this point of time, I had a big dream. I wanted to become an ambassador. And by being an ambassador, I mean a representative of my country, of Finland, marketing the brand and living abroad. And whenever you say something like that out loud, especially to your peers in Finland, it's an outrageous statement. Finland is still of a country of trying to fit into society. So dreaming big, having huge dreams, and especially stating them out, is more of an American style than Finnish style. And of course, I got racked on it whenever I talked about it to my peers. However, even if I got racked on it, I did not want to give up on my dream. I kept it, I had it, and I kept going. At the age of 13, I already started traveling on my own to visit my relatives down in Marbella, Spain. It's a beautiful place. I also started meeting international people and speaking English. And at that time, I wasn't really that good at it, because my country is bilingual, but we speak Finnish and Swedish as our mother tongues. Then, at the age of 17, I was chosen and had a chance to travel for 1 year for senior high school through Rotary Exchange program to spend a year in Miami, Florida. A beautiful place, and I was, of course, ecstatic about it. Being able to have the heat, and yes, I actually love the heat, even here in Doha, because I'm from a cold place. And no social media to distract me from actually my social life back then. And everything was very different, euphoric almost. However, during that year, I did go through severe culture shocks and also acculturation. For example, not having my parents around me, my comfort zone, for the first time in life to have a curfew. I did not even know what a curfew is. Living in a place in North America where actually Spanish was more spoken than English. for the sake that 70% of the population in Miami is actually of Latin American background. However, this year totally changed me, even though there was a lot of ups and downs during this year. Next, we can have a look at this graph. It's called cross-cultural communication, foreign visitors, acculturation curve. Because moving can be a serious process. If it's unmanaged, we can definitely go through some very serious psychological stress. If managed and cherished, it can really enrich our lives mentally, emotionally, and also financially. Oftentimes, when we go and live abroad, and this is usually 1 year period of time, in the beginning, we go through euphoria. We leave our past, our comfort zone behind, and we're ecstatic, we're very happy. The next stage is called culture shock. The reality hits you. You actually start digging deeper into a culture, understanding not everything is so perfect. And a lot of things back home were really, really good. Then moving on to the phase of acculturation, and finally, usually about after 1 year, a more stable state. And the outcome can be, we've gone native, we have become biculturally adapted, or even negative emotions. If a person is bound to experience still very negative emotions after 1 year of time, he or she is bound to go back home, or at least leave the place. Next, I want to show you a couple of graphs. We can have a look at Gert Hofstede, which is a Dutch-based professor, and his value dimension graphs. What this study actually tells is, first of all, he studied on over 100,000 people world over, and he has compared different countries and cultures and their similarities and differences. It's based on value dimensions. There's 6 major ones, but I want to focus on 2 of them. First, power distance. So what do we mean by power distance? We mean the acceptance of less fortunate people in society, how well they accept and expect that there is actually an inequality in terms of wealth or power. And as you can tell, Finland is very low on this figure, which means that Finnish people do not accept inequality. We're very, very bad with hierarchy, for example. We don't like the fact that there's someone above us. Everything has to be equal, even wealth distribution. On the other hand, locally here in the region is very high. And the reason I'm actually using the UAE or United Arab Emirates instead of Qatar is there was no data found on Qatar, unfortunately. However, we can see that locally, high hierarchy and power distance is very accepted and expected. The next value dimension I want to tap on is masculinity or femininity. And by masculinity, when we talk about values in society that are more masculine, assertive, heroic, we look for financial rewards as an example. And once again, Finland is very low. That means that in our society, a lot of emphasis and also finance is put into nurturing, into education. Whereas, for example, in the United States, the figure is much higher, and US is a lot more competition-based society. As a person who's lived in all these three societies and gone through culture shocks and value dimensions, I can pretty much that it has all changed me. And hopefully for a better person, originally for a better student, mentor, and a person. And it's actually enhanced my creative thinking and becoming a more entrepreneurial person. The bottom line with this slide is that the culture shock that I had the first time I moved away from Finland to Miami, even if culturally these countries are closer by, was very high because I did it for the first time. The next time around and the third time that I actually moved to Qatar, there was basically no culture shock, even if culturally Finland and Qatar are much further away. Then there's another study called Cultural Borders and Mental Barriers, the relationship between living abroad and creativity. And what this study found out is that people who lived abroad are bound to be a lot more creative and innovative. And it's based on the factor that once we leave our comfort zone, we need to be able to adapt. Simple as that. So once you are pushed out of it, there's no way but to learn how to swim if you don't know how to swim until then. As an example, there are universities in Switzerland that tap on this creativity factor. What they do is they send out some of their teams anywhere in the world. They give them $100,000 and let them just travel, just to explore. Because they know that once these teams come back to Switzerland, they are bound to start up innovation-based startups. Coming back to my own life. So after the culmination point, the great year in Miami, I went back to Finland. And things were naturally comfortable. It's good to go back home, see your family, your friends, just to be there. But things get very routine-like often, and that's what I experienced. So I felt like it's good to be home, however, I had itchy feet, or I had that fire in the belly, and I still wanted to explore. So what I did, I applied for a study place in a neighboring country called Sweden, and a university called Lund. I got accepted, and I moved there. However, no matter how beautiful the place, or being the best university in Scandinavian countries, I did not have the drive for the sake of there's no cultural difference whatsoever. Because Finland and Sweden are culturally so close by. It did not feed my soul nor my thirst for learning. Eventually I then went back to actually Miami. And I stayed in Miami for another couple of years. But even if the first time it was so precious, the second time around was different. I had gone through all those culture shocks, those tricks already. So it did not feed me either. Eventually, I went back to Finland and finished my studies in international business and entrepreneurship. Then later on in my career, I came here to Qatar, Doha, for a conference. I met some people and eventually got an offer from Qatar University. I felt like, wow, this is definitely exciting. That would be an experience. Also, my wife received an offer from Qatar University as well. We had steady jobs and comfortable lives back in Finland. However, we decided to talk to our employers, and they encouraged us to take upon the challenge and back then jump into the unknown. Soon it has been 4 years here, and Doha has become another home for us. Then 7 months ago, another big dream of mine came true. My baby girl, Carolina, was born here at the Cuban hospital. She is the apple of my eye and already one of those big accomplishments of my life. My message here is, through my personal experiences, is for you to dream big. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do something. My initial dream was to become an ambassador. Even if I never became one, I feel that that dream that I had made me leave the comfort zone that I was in. It gave me courage to move forward, and eventually I did become an ambassador, even if it's in the area of business. Thus, I feel I've become a more innovative, a more creative, and more entrepreneurial thanks to this whole ride that I've taken. So I have leveraged the ripple effects. Please do go global if you have a possibility, with your family or without your family. For the sake of, it's the starting point of this old track that we talk about, being creative, being innovative, and being entrepreneurial. Through this, you will also be able to understand yourself better and people around you. It has been my great privilege to be here tonight. Should you have any further questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.